Elbaf officially declares war on the world government. Rook is as serious as death itself, and Zoro the Conqueror has a plan. The cover page of One Piece chapter 1172, titled The Elbaf I Admire, features Bon Clay putting on makeup as a couple of swans go through his stuff and do the same. One, reflected by a mirror, is wearing pom-poms like him. One is wearing a straw hat like Luffy, and another is wearing a crown like Emu. We return to the lift, on its way out from the realm of the dead and into the sun realm. Yvonne explained to the group that there are currently 3 enemies above them, and as for their plan, it's clear that the invaders intend on kidnapping 10 of Elbaf's children, and from there, they will use them as living shields in the Holy Land. Hostages that would turn the warriors of Elbaf into their obliging, expendable soldiers. Haru didn't struggle to imagine 3 humans causing this level of mayhem in his homeland, let alone being able to overpower the giant warrior pirates and Yvonne himself. The retiree apologized and didn't try to justify his failure. But even considering their ages, Sanji questioned how 3 humans could move so many giants. To that, Yvonne let them know that one of the enemies is a woman with strange arrow abilities that the children can't resist. And because of that, they'll continue to walk towards the West Village Harbor, and it'll be game over if they make it to the ship there. Road asked why they can't just take the children back. Yvonne added that one of the 3 enemies he's more familiar with is a man named Summers. Thanks to the power of his thorn fruit, the man can control vines and sharp thorns at will, along with the fact that he's placed invisible vines around the children. Gerd was disturbed by the dastardly revelation. Yvonne felt the same way. The vines are as tough as iron. Trying to save the kids haphazardly could be the end of them all. As for the last person, he has the power to give life to nightmares. The children's greatest fears have been made manifest to keep them from being saved. So while they may look like they're just taking a stroll, it'll be incredibly difficult for anyone to stop them because of this twisted game. But even so, Hududen is certain that they will save the youngsters. For now, focusing on defeating the invaders seems to be their best bet. And despite their immortality, Goldberg is sure that there must be some way to beat them. He suggested trapping, crushing, or maybe even eating them. Stereotypical giant behavior. Whatever the case, the group is resolved to get the job done, and they're finally on the verge of entering the Sun Realm. Goldberg prepared himself. Once they arrived, they could hardly believe their eyes. Hududen's jaw was slack. He saw a blazing inferno, a dragon, an armored colossus, and a burning ship. Even just the dragon was overwhelming for the giant captain. Maybe that's his childhood fear. Things are far worse than they could have possibly imagined. Are there no limits to these nightmare monsters? Ghosts, an armored bear, a predatory bird, a cyclops, Nika the destroyer, thunder and lightning, a lion with wings. The madness had even claimed the giant warrior pirate ship. Yvonne told them that Dory and Brogy used it to lead the charge with their men, but were taken down by the monsters. Again, Hududen was in disbelief. That's when an injured Kashi called out to him. Hududen explained where they were, and asked for an explanation in turn. The veteran warrior prepared to tell him something unbelievable. That Dory and Brogy have lost their minds, and are trying to kill Elder Jarul. Gerd stooped down, and asked him about the kids. Kashi shouted that Ripley and some others went to save them, but he hasn't heard anything new on that front. And by now, the kids may have already made it to the harbor. With that, he turned to Road with dire information that caught the navigator off guard. When he learned that Bjorn was taken, Road's face was overtaken by dread. Without a moment's hesitation, he raced off in the direction, desperate to save his little brother. Gerd and Goldberg decided to join him. Sanji asked Kashi for the direction of the school, since Nami and the others should be close to it. Kashi pointed out the school as the source of the fire, which made the cook wonder why it was set on fire. Zoro honed in on the fact that Dory and Brogy have become enemies. Kashi begged them to hurry and save the Elder, which came along with a helpful map of the current situation. One of the better ones that we've seen, in fact. Over at the Burning Walrus School and Owl Library, most of the teachers were protecting the other giant children who were fast asleep. The remaining Straw Hats were close by. Jinbei doesn't expect Chopper to return anytime soon, and presumes that since Brook left without a word, He must be up to something. And you already know that when Brook is moving solo, something major is about to go down. But if you remember, he was practically mummified compared to the rest of them. So by Brook being gone, Jinbei probably means that he became an incorporeal ghost and left his bones behind. A frustrated Nami insisted that they need to get rid of the arrows binding them so they can save the children, while Usopp was dismayed to see his idols acting so dishonorably. The Dami Reversi giants were on their way to West Village, much to the dismay of their comrades. Ripley, Oimo, Bent's mom, and some others were chasing after the kids. The Colon shouted that warriors of Elbaf don't whine. Not that the rest of the kids thought of themselves as warriors to begin with, though. In West Village, several giants were urging the elder to evacuate now that Dory and Brogy were headed their way. The old giant told them to run if they want to, but he will not budge. After all, there's still something he needs to say to Elbaf. He turned on an oversized Denden Mushi. The elder decided to speak to the entire nation ahead of his demise. He reminded them that their late King Harald always sought to bring Elbaf together with the rest of the world. A pursuit then led to him trying to join the world government, and an emu-possessed Gunko listened in silence. With a shot of the castle where it happened, the elder told them that the efforts of their valiant king were shunned and betrayed. Then he spoke of what truly happened on that dreadful day, 14 years ago. That he saw their king and his soldiers be killed by the act of a demon with his own eyes. And down to his last breath, their king fought to keep Elbaf from falling into the demon's clutches. The listening giants were shocked to learn that Loki didn't commit patricide. Although the technicalities are debatable, the elder admitted to keeping it a secret to avoid the pursuit of revenge, leading them into war prematurely. A war that King Harald never wanted for them. And here it looks like one of the kids is afraid of dogs. Continuing, he said that Loki shouldered their anger when he went out to sea. But although he's always been a troublemaker, the Prince of Elbaf is innocent. Again, Zoro found the technicalities of the explanation to be debatable. Hodder didn't agree, and didn't want the old man to be too liberal with the story's contents. But at least it didn't take him weeks to get the message across. Moving on, the elder claimed that 3 new demons have shown up to claim their nation. He hoped that such dark days were beyond them. But once again, they are in need of great power. Saint Summers was seated and thinking about taking a nap, sure that things were just about settled. And this trio spread looks pretty cool. From there, Elder Jarul spoke to the demons directly. He bellowed that they can take their culture, they can take their history, but they should let their children go. That if the demons think that doing this will crush their spirit, then they have made a serious miscalculation. The giants are not about to show them the same grace that Harald did. Grounded warriors rose to his voice. Anj and Ranja listened closely despite their fear, just as they had held their own in the face of oppression. The demons speak of controlling and making them into slaves. With scorn, the elder had to wonder who the hell these scumbags think they're messing with. Elder Jarul apologized to the kids for his vulgarity and told them to cover their ears. Fanboy Usopp was shouting for him to let these Nikas know. The Elbaf he admires would never bend the knee to tyranny. The oldest giant declared that if the Harley's prophecies are true, then the world is bound to face a great divide eventually. And so it shall be. From this day onwards, Elbaf is at war and stands in defiance of the world government. Insulted, Mountain Beard asked if they truly believed that some thorns, illusions, and their little reversey game would be enough to make the proud warriors of Elbaf bow down. Zoro couldn't help himself from being the old man's fan. Something that made sense to Haruden, since 300 years ago. Elder Jarul was known as the strongest being to ever arise from Elbaf. Which is especially cool when you remember that Bonnie is somewhere on the island and could theoretically bring him back to his prime, at least for a little bit. From what we saw, that sword in his head is a special one from his glory days that he gave to King Harald. So it would be crazy to see him use it yet again. Elbaf will never submit to demonic dominion. He then urged his fellow warriors to speak for themselves, and their morale shifted. Usopp was swooning over the manifestation of his wildest giant-themed dreams. while Nami shouted at him to get a grip already and focus on their bindings. And now, with the demonic giant warrior pirates upon them, Elder Jarul drew his blade with the giants of West Village at his back. Together, they will protect the peace that King Harald the Benevolent dreamed of. Harudin, Stanson, and Zoro made it just in time. But if they get caught between the Dami reverse heat forces, they'll be done for. But with a flaring spark of resistance and a sinister smile, Zoro confidently unsheathed the great blade, Enma, with a plan in mind. It's time for the Conqueror to clear the board. And since they're going up against Imu's power here, I really hope we get to see Zoro deal with Gunko's arrow power too. He might be so directionally challenged that her powers end up being like Enel's lightning to Luffy's rubber, or Perona's negativity to Usopp's pessimism. Historically, Zoro's plans are pretty extreme. I mean, the first time they had trouble against Dory and Brogy, he nearly hacked off his own legs. And now that I think about it, they are on a branch right now. So in theory, he could take their legs out from under them by cutting the whole location down. When they're up against a giant Pika, he turned to Plan E and cut the man in two. So whatever the case, I'm sure we can all agree that Zoro is going to cut something. Also, aside from confronting Luffy himself, I would love to see Imu notice the Nika nightmare monster running around. Because besides the king of the world's feelings, Gunko described Nika as the thing that scares her the most. But shout out to Elder Jarul's legendary speech for making this mostly recapped chapter really epic. There is just so much to look forward to with the rest of this arc. So I hope you're just as excited to see it all as I am.